Hello and welcome to the Wise Senior, your trusted place for guidance, wellness, and inner peace after 60. Today, we're diving into a surprising topic, the 5 mistakes that could turn your eggs from a superfood into a hidden health hazard. Eggs are often seen as one of the best foods for older adults, packed with protein and nutrients. But did you know that how you cook, store, or even choose your eggs can dramatically affect your health, especially as you age? Stay with us because learning these small changes could make a big difference to your energy, digestion, and overall well-being. Let's begin with one of the most common and most overlooked mistakes in the kitchen: overcooking eggs. It might seem harmless at first. After all, isn't a crispy-edged fried egg or a fully boiled yolk just a matter of taste? But the truth is, when eggs are exposed to excessively high heat, they undergo a chemical transformation that can turn this nutritious food into something far less beneficial, especially for older adults. At high temperatures, the delicate fats and cholesterol in eggs start to oxidize. Oxidized cholesterol has been linked to increased inflammation, arterial plaque buildup, and a higher risk of heart disease. All serious concerns for people over 60. If you've ever boiled an egg too long and noticed the yolk turning an odd greenish gray, that's not just a visual issue. It's a sign of sulfur and iron reacting, forming iron sulfide, which may not be immediately toxic, but it indicates nutrient breakdown and overheating. Let's take Harold, 76, as an example. For decades, Harold had the same morning routine: 2 eggs, fried until golden and crispy around the edges, sometimes even a little browned underneath. He loved the flavor and thought the extra cooking made them safer. But as he got older, he began experiencing more frequent indigestion, bloating, and even mild chest discomfort. He chalked it up to aging, that is until his daughter, a nutritionist, pointed out something surprising: his egg preparation method might be making things worse. Over-frying eggs can damage their structure, leading to not only a loss of key nutrients like vitamin B12, folate, and antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, but also an increase in inflammatory compounds that strain the digestive and cardiovascular systems. After a bit of hesitation, Harold agreed to make a change. Instead of frying his eggs on high heat, he switched to soft scrambling them over low heat with a touch of butter. On weekends, he started enjoying poached eggs with toast, a meal he once thought was too fancy, but now found comforting and easy on the stomach. The result? Within weeks, he noticed less bloating, more energy, and a general lightness after breakfast he hadn't felt in years. Here's the science. Eggs are nutrient-dense. They offer high-quality protein, choline for brain function, healthy fats, and eye-protecting antioxidants. But heat-sensitive compounds like vitamin B12 and lutein can be destroyed when eggs are subjected to prolonged or aggressive heat. That means if you rely on eggs to support your health, especially brain, vision, and heart function, how you cook them truly matters. Overcooking also leads to textural changes that many find unpleasant: rubbery whites, chalky yolks, or that strong sulfur-like smell. These are signs that something has been lost in the process. So what should you do instead? Soft scramble your eggs slowly over medium-low heat. The result is tender, moist, and nutrient-preserving. Poach your eggs in simmering water with a dash of vinegar for shape. No added oils, just pure flavor and nutrition. Gently boil your eggs, about 7–9 minutes for hard-boiled, or 5–6 minutes for medium. Avoid boiling until the yolks turn gray. And if you do choose to fry eggs, use gentle heat and avoid letting them crisp or brown. It's about finding that balance, cooked enough to be safe, but not so much that the egg's integrity is compromised. Let's also mention cookware. Using non-stick pans or well-seasoned cast iron with a healthy fat like butter or olive oil can help prevent sticking without needing excessive heat. This makes the process easier and safer. At the Wise Senior, we believe aging should empower us to make smarter choices, not more complicated ones. By simply adjusting how you cook your eggs, you can protect your heart, support digestion, and preserve essential nutrients that fuel your body and brain. So the next time you crack an egg, ask yourself, am I cooking this with care? Am I treating this humble food like the powerhouse it is? Remember, you don't need to give up eggs. You just need to respect the process. A lower flame, a gentler hand, and a few mindful minutes in the kitchen can go a long way toward keeping your meals and your health vibrant. At first glance, adding raw eggs to your smoothie might seem like a quick and healthy protein boost. It's a habit that many health-conscious people have picked up, especially from fitness trends and old-school advice. But for older adults, this habit can quietly turn into a serious health risk. Let's take Margaret, for example. She's 68 years old, vibrant, and has always taken pride in maintaining a clean diet. For over a decade, she blended a raw egg into her morning smoothie, believing it helped her absorb all the nutrients more effectively. She had never gotten sick from it until one morning when she started experiencing sharp stomach pains, nausea, and an unusual sense of fatigue. A visit to her doctor confirmed what she never expected: salmonella poisoning. Many people assume that salmonella is rare or only affects certain populations. But what they don't realize is that as we age, our immune system naturally weakens, making it more difficult to fight off infections. For a young, healthy adult, a case of food poisoning might just mean a couple of unpleasant days, but for seniors it can lead to dehydration, hospitalization, or in some cases, life-threatening complications. Eggs are indeed an excellent source of protein, B vitamins, and essential fats, but those benefits only come when the eggs are safely prepared. Raw and undercooked eggs, including soft-boiled eggs with runny yolks, sunny-side-up eggs that don't cook all the way through, or sauces like homemade mayonnaise or hollandaise, all carry the potential for bacterial contamination if not handled properly. Even if your eggs are organic, free-range, or straight from a local farm, they are still at risk of carrying harmful bacteria. Salmonella doesn't care where your eggs came from. It lives inside the egg itself and can contaminate both the shell and the yolk. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 20,000 eggs may be contaminated. And while that number seems low, it only takes one to make you sick. And it's not just salmonella we should be concerned about. Raw eggs contain a protein called avidin, which binds to biotin, a vital B vitamin that supports energy metabolism, nervous system health, and strong hair and skin. When eggs are consumed raw, this bond between avidin and biotin prevents the vitamin from being absorbed properly. Over time, this could lead to a deficiency that's particularly problematic for seniors who already face challenges with nutrient absorption. After her experience, Margaret made the decision to switch to fully cooked eggs, usually scrambled or poached. She still gets her morning protein fix, but without the risk. And the best part? She found she felt more energized and had fewer digestive issues. Now, some people might say, but I've eaten raw cookie dough for years and never gotten sick. While that might be true, it's really a gamble, and one that becomes riskier with age. Foodborne illnesses don't always strike right away, and just because you haven't experienced symptoms doesn't mean it hasn't affected your gut health in subtle ways over time. So what's the best approach? For starters, always cook your eggs until both the yolk and white are firm. That means no more soft-boiled or runny eggs, unless you're using pasteurized eggs. These are specially treated to kill bacteria without cooking the egg, and can be safer for recipes that call for uncooked eggs. If you love poached eggs, try cooking them for a little longer to ensure the center isn't too runny. If you enjoy scrambled eggs, cook them gently over medium heat until they're fully set but still moist. And if you bake or make homemade dressings, consider using pasteurized eggs or egg substitutes to reduce risk. Also, be cautious when eating out. Many restaurants serve eggs that are not fully cooked unless requested. If you're ordering eggs at a diner or cafe, don't hesitate to ask for them. Well done. It's a small adjustment that can make a big difference in your safety. Lastly, always store your eggs properly in the coldest part of the refrigerator, never on the door where temperature fluctuates. And don't forget to check the expiration date and inspect for cracks before using. A simple float test in water can also help determine freshness. If an egg floats, it's best to toss it. Let's recap. Raw and undercooked eggs may seem harmless, or even nutritious, but the risks, especially for older adults, are real. Salmonella and nutrient absorption issues are just the tip of the iceberg. Fully cooking your eggs not only eliminates the risk of foodborne illness, but also unlocks the full nutritional potential of this incredible food. Margaret is now an advocate for smarter cooking, reminding her friends and family that small changes in how we prepare food can go a long way toward protecting our health. She still enjoys her daily breakfast ritual, Only now, it's safer, more satisfying, and just as nutritious. So the next time you crack an egg, ask yourself, is this the best way to nourish my body today? And if you're still watching and learning something new, drop a comment with the number 2 below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget, there's more valuable insight just ahead in the next segment. Let's talk about something that often slips under the radar: how you store your cooked eggs. It might seem like a small detail, but if you're not doing it properly, you're putting yourself at serious risk of foodborne illness. Most of us have done it, left a plate of scrambled eggs on the counter after breakfast thinking we'll finish them later. Maybe it's a leftover egg sandwich left in a lunch bag too long. Or maybe, like George, you've been batch cooking eggs to save time, but storing them the wrong way. George, now 72, used to make a big skillet of scrambled eggs on Sunday evening, enough to last him all week. He'd cover the pan loosely with foil and pop it into the fridge. Every morning he'd scoop out a portion, reheat it in the microwave, and head out the door. It seemed convenient until the stomach cramps began. At first he brushed it off as indigestion, but after several bouts of nausea and a particularly bad day that sent him to the doctor, he learned his storage method was to blame. Improperly stored eggs had become a breeding ground for bacteria. Here's why this matters, especially if you're over 60. As we age, our immune systems become less efficient at fighting off infections. Bacteria like Salmonella, Listeria, and E. coli, that might just cause mild discomfort in younger people, can lead to serious illness in seniors. Dehydration, hospitalization, and even long-term complications can stem from something as simple as a poorly stored egg dish. Let's break it down. The moment your cooked eggs drop below 140 degrees Fahrenheit and sit at room temperature, they enter what's known as the danger zone, between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, where bacteria multiply rapidly. This can happen in as little as 2 hours, or even faster in warm climates. To avoid this, follow 3 golden rules. Cool quickly. After cooking, don't let eggs sit out. Let them cool for no more than 1–2 hours before placing them in the fridge. Store safely. Use airtight containers, not loosely covered plates or open pans. Airtight containers prevent moisture loss and protect your eggs from absorbing odors, or worse, bacteria, from other items in your fridge. Label and limit. Always write the date on your container. Cooked eggs, whether scrambled, hard-boiled, or poached, should be eaten within 3 to 4 days. Hard-boiled eggs still in the shell can stretch to 7 days if stored correctly. Cross-contamination is another overlooked hazard. If your eggs are placed next to raw meat, unwashed produce, or seafood, they can absorb harmful pathogens, even if they've been cooked. So always store them on a top shelf, away from raw items, and in sealed containers. Now let's talk about reheating. George used to pop his eggs in the microwave and zap them for a minute or two. Not only did that leave them rubbery and unpleasant, it also created uneven heat distribution. Some parts would overheat, while others remained cool, creating perfect pockets for bacterial survival. Worse, repeated overheating damages the texture and depletes vital nutrients, like B12 and folate, nutrients that are especially important for cognitive and nerve health in seniors. Instead, use the stove. Reheat your eggs gently over low heat with a splash of water or broth to preserve moisture. If you must use a microwave, break up the eggs into smaller pieces and heat in short 20-second intervals, stirring in between. This helps avoid hot spots and keeps the texture soft. Another point to remember: smell and sight are important. If your leftover eggs smell off, feel slimy, or look discolored, even slightly, it's not worth the risk. As Evelyn, a friend of George's, once said, "When in doubt, throw it out." One more tip: avoid reheating eggs more than once. Each cycle of cooling and reheating increases the risk of bacterial growth. Only reheat the portion you plan to eat. These habits might seem small, but they add up to something big: your safety, your health, and your peace of mind. Like George discovered, taking a few extra minutes to store food properly is a lot better than spending hours feeling sick or worse in a hospital room. Eggs are one of the most nutritious, affordable, and versatile foods available, but they must be treated with care, especially when cooked. With just a little mindfulness, you can continue enjoying their benefits without worry. So if you've ever been guilty of leaving eggs out too long, microwaving them until they bounce, or ignoring the storage container situation in your fridge. Don't beat yourself up. Just take this as a gentle nudge to make a change. Because as we like to say on The Wise Senior, small steps make a big difference, especially when it comes to protecting your health in your golden years. At first glance, that egg in your fridge might look perfectly fine. No unusual color, no strange smell, and it's still within the expiration date on the carton. So what could go wrong? Well, as it turns out, plenty. Welcome to one of the most overlooked yet potentially dangerous habits in many kitchens, using cracked or expired eggs. Meet Helen, a 74-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. For decades, she started each morning with the same routine: toast, coffee, and 2 fried eggs. She was careful about her groceries, always bought from trusted stores, and kept a tidy kitchen. But there was one detail: she never gave much thought to checking the freshness of her eggs. One morning, Helen cracked an egg into her pan and noticed it had a slightly odd odor. It wasn't overwhelming, so she brushed it off and kept cooking. Later that day, she began to feel queasy. Within hours, nausea turned into stomach cramps and diarrhea. After a trip to urgent care, she was told the culprit was likely a bad egg. She couldn't believe it. Those eggs had looked perfectly fine. The truth is, even a clean-looking egg can harbor hidden dangers, especially if it's cracked or expired. And for older adults like Helen, and many of us, our immune systems aren't as robust as they once were. That means foodborne bacteria, such as Salmonella, E. coli, or Listeria, can do more harm than they might to a younger person. Let's start with cracks. Even a tiny hairline fracture in the eggshell is an open invitation for bacteria to sneak in. The shell is the egg's first and only line of defense. Once that barrier is compromised, whether from handling, transport, or even a bumpy ride home from the grocery store, bacteria have a chance to contaminate the inside. And the dangerous part, cracks aren't always visible at first glance. Then there's the matter of expiration. Many of us rely solely on the date printed on the egg carton. But did you know that eggs can spoil before that date if they weren't stored correctly? Conversely, they might also last a bit longer than the printed date, but only under ideal conditions. Storage plays a critical role here. Temperature fluctuations, especially common in refrigerator doors, can shorten an egg's shelf life significantly. So how do you know if your eggs are still safe? Try the water test. It's quick, easy, and surprisingly accurate. Fill a bowl with cold water and gently lower your egg into it. If it sinks and lays flat, it's fresh. If it stands upright, it's still okay, but use it soon. If it floats, toss it. Floating eggs have built up gases inside, a sign of spoilage. Helen now does this every week when she buys eggs, just to be safe. And since making that simple change, she hasn't had a single issue. Here's another common scenario: bringing home a carton of eggs, only to find 1 or 2 with small cracks. Should you still use them? The answer is no. Even if you plan to cook them thoroughly, bacteria introduced through a cracked shell can multiply quickly and may not be entirely eliminated during cooking. Especially if your egg isn't cooked all the way through. It's not worth the risk. Discard any egg with a compromised shell. Better safe than sorry. And what about eggs that don't look or smell strange? Here's something important. Trust your senses, but don't rely solely on them. Eggs can go bad without emitting a strong odor. Some bacterial contamination won't be detectable by smell alone. That's why the water test is a must, particularly if the eggs have been in your fridge for more than a week. Also, avoid storing eggs in the door of the refrigerator. That's typically the warmest area and subject to frequent temperature changes every time you open the door. Instead, store eggs on a middle or bottom shelf, toward the back where the temperature remains stable and consistently cold. And let's talk about condensation, that moisture that forms when eggs go from cold to warm environments. If you take eggs from the fridge and leave them on the counter for an hour or more, condensation forms on the shell, weakening its protective coating and increasing the risk of contamination. Once eggs are chilled, keep them chilled. Lastly, always wash your hands after handling eggs, raw or cooked, and clean any surfaces they've touched. Cross-contamination is another sneaky way. Bacteria can spread to your kitchen counters, cutting boards, and even your hands. To sum it up, never use cracked eggs, even if the crack seems minor. Use the float test to check for freshness. Store eggs in the coldest part of your fridge. Avoid handling them too much or exposing them to temperature swings. And always cook your eggs thoroughly. These small habits make a big difference, especially as we age. Eggs are a wonderful source of nutrition, rich in protein, B vitamins, and healthy fats, but only if they're safe. Helen now says, "I still love my morning eggs. I just make sure they're fresh and whole. It takes me 5 extra minutes to check, and that peace of mind is worth it." So don't let a seemingly harmless egg put your health at risk. It's not about fear, it's about awareness and smart choices that keep you well. Here's something most people overlook when it comes to eggs. The oil. You might crack the perfect egg, keep it fresh, cook it just right, and still undo its health benefits entirely, just by choosing the wrong oil. Let's break this down. The oil you use to cook your eggs matters more than you might think. In fact, it could be the very thing turning your healthy breakfast into a source of inflammation and long-term risk. Many people, especially those of us who grew up during the rise of processed foods, still use margarine, vegetable oil, or seed oils like canola, soybean, or corn oil in our daily cooking. For years, we were told these were healthier alternatives to butter or lard. But new research has shown otherwise, especially when these oils are exposed to high heat, like during frying. When highly processed oils are heated beyond their smoke point, the temperature at which they begin to break down, they produce oxidized lipids and free radicals. These are unstable compounds that can damage cells, fuel inflammation, and over time, contribute to chronic diseases like heart disease, arthritis, and even memory decline. One of the biggest concerns, trans fats. Some processed oils can contain or create trans fats during high heat cooking, which are known to increase bad cholesterol, LDL, decrease good cholesterol, HDL, and increase the risk of heart disease, especially dangerous for older adults already managing health issues. Take Harold, for example. He's 78 and had been cooking his morning eggs the same way for decades. A little margarine, high heat, quick fry. It was fast, familiar, and tasted good. But over time, he noticed sluggish digestion, bloating, and a general feeling of heaviness after breakfast. His doctor recommended he take a closer look at not what he was eating, but how he was preparing it. After learning about the impact of oxidized oils and trans fats, Harold made a simple change. He swapped his margarine for extra virgin olive oil and sometimes grass-fed butter when he wanted a richer flavor. He also lowered the heat on his stove, allowing the eggs to cook gently without smoking or browning excessively. Within just a few weeks, Harold reported feeling lighter, more energetic, and even said his afternoon fatigue had improved. The only thing he changed was the cooking fat. So what should you use instead? Healthy fats that remain stable at high temperatures are the key. Here are some of the best options. Extra virgin olive oil, rich in heart-healthy monounsaturated fats and antioxidants. Best for low to medium heat. Avocado oil has a very high smoke point, around 520 degrees Fahrenheit, making it great for frying while still offering healthy fats. Butter or ghee. These traditional fats contain saturated fat and can handle moderate heat well, especially when not overcooked. Coconut oil contains medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, that may support energy and metabolism, and it's stable at higher temperatures. What to avoid? Vegetable oil blends, like generic vegetable oil, often contain highly refined oils with low smoke points. Soybean, corn, and canola oils, commonly processed using chemical solvents and easily oxidize when heated. Margarine or shortening may contain hydrogenated oils that increase trans fat exposure. And here's an extra tip. If you see smoke coming from the pan before you've even cracked your egg, that's a sign the oil has overheated and begun to degrade. It's best to clean the pan and start again, because those fumes aren't just unpleasant, they signal the formation of unhealthy compounds. Remember, eggs are incredibly nutritious on their own. They're full of protein, vitamin D, B12, choline, and important antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin for eye health. But when cooked in the wrong type of fat, especially repeatedly, their benefits can be canceled out by the damage caused by toxic oil byproducts. Especially for older adults, inflammation is something we should all be working to reduce. And that means making small, smart choices that add up. Choosing the right oil is one of them. Like Harold, you might be surprised at how much better you feel with just this one simple change. Cooking should nourish the body, not quietly stress it from the inside out. So the next time you heat up your pan, pause and ask yourself, is this oil helping me or harming me? As we age, it becomes more important than ever to be intentional about our daily choices, especially when it comes to the food we eat. Eggs are often seen as a healthy staple, but as we've learned, even something as simple as preparing them the wrong way can quietly affect our well-being. Overcooking, using harmful oils, or storing eggs improperly may seem like small oversights, yet they can contribute to inflammation, digestive issues, and long-term health risks, particularly for seniors with more sensitive systems. The good news? These mistakes are easy to fix. By cooking eggs gently, choosing heart-healthy oils like olive or avocado oil, checking for freshness, and avoiding raw consumption, we can continue enjoying this nutritious food without worry. The bigger lesson here is this: small, mindful changes make a big difference. Our health isn't just shaped by what we eat, but by how we handle, cook, and care for the food we put into our bodies. At this stage in life, every thoughtful step counts. So be kind to your body, nourish it with care, and never stop learning new ways to protect your health and thrive, one meal at a time. Which of these mistakes have you been making? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. At The Wise Senior, we share fresh videos every day to help you live healthier, smarter, and happier. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.